So here we are past the midway point of the season, and we have an entire episode dedicated to a pointless flashback that does fuck all to progress the story. Episode 5 wastes even more time on characters that we all know are going to die and couldn't give less of a fuck about. Episode 6 isn't any better, as we have more boring and stupid moments on Neverland Ranch that will actually insult the intelligence of the audience. I cannot stand just how much retardation this show has, as it's practically a tsunami of idiocy. Even some of the characters are starting to point out just how stupid some of the decisions that they are making actually are.
This space bug is proof of how stupid smart people can be. But too stupid to realize you don't bring parasites home with you.
He's absolutely right.
The show continues to waste time on dialogue that is utterly pointless and self-indulgent. Episode 5 is by far the dumbest episode of the show, which is saying a lot because they are all retarded. But if you've ever wondered what would happen if you put several mentally handicapped people on a ship with aliens, well then this is the answer. Episode 6 isn't as stupid as episode 5, it's just more boring. Don't get me wrong, it's still full of stupidity, but nothing important happens until the last 5 minutes of the episode, as the rest of it is full of boring melodrama that goes absolutely nowhere. So, without further ado, here's the retarded plot. It opens with Morrow waking up from cryosleep to a loser telling him that some of the aliens have gotten loose and killed the captain. And instead of this being treated like a serious issue, this arsehole tells him like it's no big deal, as he is way more interested in trying to show him pornography that he got by filming 2 crew members together.
Why?
However, what we were told about the captain being killed by an alien wasn't exactly true, as he was actually killed due to gross incompetence by one of the crew members who carelessly chopped off a facehugger's tail whilst it was still attached to him, letting it bleed acid all over the captain's face and neck, killing him.
Why is everyone so fucking stupid?
Not really bothered that he's dealing with a bunch of morons, Morrow tells some of the crew to make sure that the other aliens are secured, and get this, one of the crewmen is called Chlamydia.
Chlamydia, you and Chibuzor go to the zoo and make sure the rest of the creatures are secure.
We find out that a xenomorph has gotten loose after a fire broke out, most likely caused by sabotage. But the fire has destroyed both the engine and navigation systems, which means that they are unable to pilot the ship properly, effectively making them a floating asteroid in space. So Chlamydia and the crew check on the aliens as Morrow uses his emergency powers, which basically give him full authority to take over most of the ship as he searches for the saboteur. He then stupidly tells the acting captain that no one else's lives matter and that getting the cargo to Earth is way more important than if any of the crew survive.
Are you fucking retarded?
Afterwards, he checks the security cameras to find that the fire was indeed started by a saboteur. The communication logs were also deleted, but Chlamydia is running a recovery program to get them back. So, in the meantime, Morrow looks through his memory box where we learn that he is a father to a young daughter. We never know why he chose to abandon his child to go on a 65-year voyage, as that would actually be giving us a character to like. So instead we get this contradictory motivation, as on one hand he is shown to be this obsessive company man who only cares about Weyland-Yutani like he has nothing else in his life. But in actuality, he is a single father to an 8-year-old daughter who he clearly likes and depends on him for everything. It doesn't make any sense, because why would he choose to abandon her and to go on a journey for not much money, which would result in him never seeing her again?
Damn it, Turner, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, for whatever reason, he learns that his daughter at the age of 19 died in a fire, and none of this ends up mattering anyway, as it goes absolutely nowhere since he spends the rest of the episode dealing with a saboteur, and never again does she ever get mentioned.
What a fucking waste of time.
The situation then goes from bad to worse when the science officer in cryo is killed by the xenomorph inside his chest, which is now on the loose. So Morrow and the acting captain, who can't really act, try to chase it down, but get this, they don't even bother to put out a ship-wide alert because everyone in this show is fucking stupid. Meanwhile, despite having an alien outbreak, black female scientist is just fucking around with even more aliens, and the stupid bitch doesn't properly seal the container.
You stupid fucking cunt, you idiot.
So of course, one of the ticks is able to open the container, climbs out and shits eggs into her water bottle, before then, for some fucking bizarre reason, chooses to hide inside her sandwich.
Why would I? Why?
Before she eats it, Jewish man grabs the tick and puts it back in the box and says that the dumb bitch has forgotten to put the lid back on. What's even more stupid is that the eyeball alien is put back on its shelf unsecured because the stupid scientist woman didn't even check the light to see if it was, even after almost eating an alien sandwich.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
So of course, the eyeball alien escapes and everyone has a meeting on what to do next. Not an emergency all hands on deck meeting to tell them that a fucking xenomorph is on the loose and that they are all in terrible danger, but a light-hearted meeting over lunch where everyone is enjoying coffee and sandwiches. No one at this meeting takes anything seriously, not when they are told that there is a saboteur on the ship trying to kill them, and not when they are told that there's an alien also trying to eat them. To them, it's all one big fucking joke. Afterwards, Morrow checks the security footage and we find out that some random person is the saboteur and that Boy Cavalier paid him to wreck the ship.
What the fuck are you talking about?
So Boy Cavalier's genius plan is to make a video call in person that's being recorded, in which he conspires to pay a disgruntled employee to hijack the Weyland-Yutani ship and fly it to Prodigy-controlled territory, thus incriminating himself and breaking God knows how many laws in the process. Now, Boy Cavalier not working through a proxy and thus having plausible deniability is retarded. But what doesn't make sense is that this guy works for Weyland-Yutani and has been in space for 65 years, and yet somehow he knows who Boy Cavalier is and that he created the megacorporation Prodigy, both of which didn't exist when he left Earth. Not just that, but he also somehow knows about Prodigy's top secret hybrid program, which is still in its infancy and not known to the public.
I want a new body. You can do that now, right, Mr. Cavalier? Put my mind in a robot.
Nothing you say makes any sense.
Fuck me, I'm getting a headache from just how stupid this show is. Anyway, one of the idiots ends up drinking the water that the aliens shat their spawn into, and he eventually starts throwing up a lot of blood. They scan him and find that there are multiple leeches all over his body. So instead of putting him in a cryopod, which is standard procedure, they decide to open him up and hack away, even though the last time they tried this, it killed the captain. The justification for doing this is that he will bleed to death before they can reach the cryopods. But that's a load of bollocks, because slicing and dicing him is clearly going to accelerate his blood loss. But the writers don't seem to understand basic stuff like logic and biology, and so everyone proceeds with this retarded plan. Unfortunately for the white boy, his two surgeons are the retarded black scientist lady who forgets to put the lid on jars full of dangerous aliens, and the retarded Jewish doctor who killed the captain due to his sheer incompetence and then lied about what he did, saying that he only made a small incision.
I tried to remove the creature, so I made an incision at the base of the tail.
Does this look like a small incision to you? It's missing its fucking tail.
Liar!
So the operation with Wingus and Dingus goes exactly how you would expect it to, as when they try to remove the leeches from inside his body, they fart really bad, which poisons the pair of them because, and get this, they are not wearing containment suits or any sort of protection at all, even though they are dealing with fucking aliens that have killed some of the crew. Morrow, being the only competent character, tries to gas the room, but it does nothing to the ticks. Oh, and creepy Asian guy gets killed by a xenomorph. Not really worth mentioning since he isn't a character, but hey, it's nice to see the xenomorph finally do something this episode. Now, with most of the crew dead, Morrow, who is the only character to treat the situation seriously, takes commands from the acting captain. He then tells her and some engineer to go to engineering to transfer all functions to the bridge, whilst he and Chlamydia will head there to try and secure it. However, on the way, Mr. Saboteur ambushes the pair and wounds Chlamydia, forcing Morrow to take him into a nearby room for safety. He then gets distracted, which allows Mr. Saboteur to take aim from around the corner, and even though he easily has a shot on Morrow, who has a gun and is still a threat, instead he chooses to finish the job on Chlamydia with a perfect headshot. Jesus, he must really fucking hate that kid. What happens next is bad editing, as when Mr. Saboteur leaves the room, he for some reason has his back towards where Morrow is and is looking into a nearby empty room, which of course allows Morrow to come in from behind and peg him right through the chest. With him dead, we cut to the acting captain who can't act as a xenomorph appears behind her. And instead of immediately killing her like it's done with everyone else in the show, it decides to trip her over with its tail because she has an insane amount of plot armor. The acting captain who can't act then turns into Usain Bolt and manages to outrun the xenomorph all the way to the bridge, where she spots the engineer who is now possessed by the eyeball alien. She is currently trapped between two aliens who are trying to kill her, and this is her reaction. Not shock, not horror, but a mild disgust.
Can't we get a better actor? I know it's a small part, but I think we can do better than this.
What happens next is awful, as the eyeball alien attacks her but doesn't murder the girl, only knocking her to the ground for no reason. The xenomorph, not able to get into the room, leaves, before Morrow then appears after climbing out of the air ducts, which I guess he was crawling around in before he then opens the door. Noticing this, the xenomorph immediately does a 180 and enters the room from behind, which leads to both it and the eyeball alien fighting each other in a god-fucking awful action scene.
Kill me.
The episode finally links back to episode 1 where Morrow enters the control room and he decides to not let in the acting captain who can't act even though he easily could. The only reason I got as to why he does this is that he is so sick of dealing with idiots that he would rather let her die than have to babysit a fucking moron for another episode. And that was episode 5.
That was awful.
Episode 6 opens with Wendy taking care of a baby xenomorph because this franchise has become a joke. At the same time, Boy Cavalier is reading Peter Pan because we can't go 5 seconds without anyone mentioning the tale. We cut to Ginger Pubes, who is under maintenance, and Eddie Hitler from Bottom tells low sperm count scientists to reset her back to her factory default settings because she has clearly lost her mind. Not just that, but he also wants to alter her personality to stop being such a psychopath. However, the two scientists who so far have had no problem experimenting on children now have a problem with doing the work that they've already been doing. They also don't consider what is going to happen when Ginger Pubes starts talking to the other children and they find out that her memories were erased. Who gives a shit at this point? The writers don't, so why should we? Anyway, the wife agrees to erase her memories, but her low sperm count husband refuses to do so and he gets fired.
Ha! Gay!
Meanwhile, Wendy has a conversation with her twink brother and finally someone points out just how retarded it was to bring aliens to Earth.
I think it was a mistake bringing them here. Yeah, species from other worlds. Do you know how lucky we are they didn't escape in the crash?
Thank you!
But this brief moment of common sense is short-lived as Wendy tries to make a shitlib argument that the baby xenomorph can be raised correctly and become a good alien.
Joe, I think this one could be good.
I'm facing a fucking moron! Get out!
That's like trying to teach a polar bear not to fucking eat you. Moving past that, Morrow tells Weyland-Yutani that Boy Cavalier has the aliens and is responsible for the crash, and so the two companies have a sit-down. The actor who plays Boy assumes the position that got him the job in the first place, since someone on the writing staff clearly has a weird foot fetish. During the conversation, Boy climbs onto the table because the writers think that makes him eccentric when it doesn't, it makes him a twat. So the negotiation conducted between the $2 trillion companies is an absolute joke, as after revealing that the Weyland-Yutani ships secretly had aliens on board, the moderator who represents the other 3 megacorporations isn't even fazed by this revelation. Not just that, but we know Morrow downloaded the entire ship's database inside his head, including the footage of Boy Cavalier conspiring with a crew member to take control of the ship. So why doesn't he just, show this vital piece of evidence to the moderator?
I don't fucking know.
We then cut to Pajit, who tries to get Wendy's brother infected by a facehugger, which obviously fails to happen because he has an insane amount of plot armor. Meanwhile, as this is happening, Timothy Oliphant tells one of the stupid Lost Boys to feed the aliens because he is at the meeting. But when the moron rather idiotically rips off the hatch door used to feed the alien, he of course makes the terrible decision to open the door and enter the room, which obviously shuts behind him and traps the retard inside. You can guess what happens next, as the flying wasps spit acid in his face, killing him, before they then go on to drink his melted fluids, because for these things, electronic materials are a part of their diet, so it's pretty silly that he went into the room knowing that they specifically eat robots like him. A bunch more boring conversations happen until Wendy's twink brother meets low sperm count scientists, and he decides to help them escape by disabling their inbuilt trackers. But not all is as it seems, as Timothy Oliphant is fully well aware of what is going on and is allowing it to happen. But because the character has absolutely no personality, I can't even guess what his motivations are.
Who are you?
Anyway, after this, Pajit conveniently bumps into the low sperm count male just as he is visiting the alien specimens, and the pair of them discover the dead body of the dumb Lost Boy on the ground. He is obviously dead, but low sperm count scientist insists on checking the body. This allows Pajit to open the door to the nearby cell with the facehugger in it, before he then traps him inside and allows him to be face raped. Pajit then stores the body in the world's most massive air duct, and that's it. That's the end of episode 6.
I didn't like any of that.
Every week, Alien Earth bombards the audience with some of the worst, most unintelligent writing there is, as every single person has the IQ of a dead goldfish. Even Morrow, who is arguably the least retarded character in this, is still a moron that doesn't give evidence at a meeting which would have ensured that his side would have won. And that's because the writing is awful and won't allow the characters to behave in a logical manner. The show has nothing to say and doesn't even want to entertain the audience with at least some brain-dead fun action. It constantly engages in pseudo-intellectual bullshit but has no idea just what the fuck it's talking about. Alien Earth is, was and will always be complete and utter arse.
It's a piece of shit.